If you want to know a secret about the retirees who do the best, they're not exciting. They're not chasing returns. They're not bragging about their portfolio. They're not jumping from strategy to strategy. In fact, most of them would bore you to death at a dinner party. But here's the part most people miss. Those boring retirees, they're the ones sleeping well. They're the ones spending confidently. They're the ones not panicking every time the market goes up and down or tax laws change. And after nearly 3 decades of helping families enter near retirement, I can tell you this with certainty. The best retirements are built on unsexy habits done consistently, not clever ideas done occasionally. Today, I'm going to walk you through 8 boring habits I see over and over again with successful retirees. These are not the habits that get attention online, but they're the habits that quietly protect income, reduce taxes, and remove stress. And stay with me because the last habit is the one that determines whether retirement feels peaceful or permanently uncertain. Habit number 1 is this. Successful retirees stop optimizing for returns and start optimizing for control. Most people spend their working years obsessed with performance. How did we do this year? What was the return? Did we beat the market? But the retirees who do the best eventually shift the question. Stop asking, how much can I make? And they start asking, how much control do I actually have? Control over income, control over taxes, control over when and where money comes from. Because a high return doesn't help you if it forces bad decisions at the wrong time. Habit number 2 is that successful retirees build their retirement around bad years, not average years. Most retirement plans look great on paper. Why? Because they assume average markets, steady returns, and cooperative timing. But retirement doesn't happen in averages. They happen in real life. We have bad markets, taxes change, health surprises, unexpected expenses. The retirees who succeed don't ask, will this work if everything goes right? They ask, what happens if things go wrong early? They plan for volatility up front so they don't have to react emotionally later. That's a boring plan, and it works. Habit number 3 is that successful retirees treat taxes as a risk asset, not just a line item. Most people think of taxes as something you file, not something that you manage. But in retirement, taxes behave like risk. They're unpredictable, they compound, and if ignored long enough, they'll force to make bad decisions later. Successful retirees don't just ask, what do I owe this year? They ask, what happens if tax rates rise? What happens when required distributions kick in? What happens when one spouse passes and brackets compress? They don't wait until the IRS dictates the outcome. They plan early, slowly, and deliberately. And that boring patience saves real money over a lifetime. Habit number 4 is that successful retirees separate spending money from future money. One of the biggest emotional mistakes retirees make is mixing all of their money together mentally. When everything feels like the nest egg, spending feels stressful, even when the plan says it's going to be fine. Successful retirees avoid this by separating purpose. This money is for living expenses. This money is for later years. This money over here is for growth. This money is going to be for legacy. And once money has a job, guilt goes away. Spending becomes intentional instead of emotional. Now, that's not flashy advice, but it's one of the fastest ways to enjoy the money you work so hard to save. Habit number 5 is that successful retirees intentionally shrink their decision count. Here's something I see consistently. The more decisions retirees have to make, the more anxious they become. Too many accounts, too many strategies, too many moving parts. The retirees who do the best, they simplify. They reduce complexity, they streamline accounts, and they eliminate unnecessary choices. Because fewer decisions means fewer opportunities to second guess. And fewer decisions create clarity, which leads to confidence. Boring structure beats clever complexity every single time. Habit number 6 is that successful retirees overfund liquidity before they chase growth. Liquidity doesn't get much attention. It's not exciting. It doesn't look impressive on a statement. But liquidity is what prevents forced mistakes. The retirees who succeed make sure they have access to cash and safe money before they worry about maximizing returns. Because liquidity, it gives you options. Options let you wait. Options let you avoid selling at the wrong time. Options let you stay calm when the markets misbehave. And calm retirees make better decisions than reactive ones. Habit number 7 is that successful retirees stress test their plan against the IRS, not just the market. Most people stress test portfolios. Successful retirees stress test income. They ask things like, what happens when required distributions increase? What happens to Medicare premiums? What happens to taxes when income stacks? What happens if one spouse is gone? Because the IRS, they don't care about your comfort level. The retirees who prepare for tax pressures early avoid painful surprises later. That preparation is boring, and it's incredibly effective. Habit number 8, and this may be the most important, is that successful retirees decide what enough means before the market does. They define enough on their terms, not based on their neighbors, not based on headlines, not based on account balances swinging up and down with the market. They know what they need. They know what they value, and they stop moving the finish line, because if enough is undefined, no amount will ever feel sufficient. And retirement turns into a constant comparison instead of a quiet confidence. So if your retirement feels a little boring, that's probably a good sign, because boring leads to calm spending leads to better decisions, and better decisions lead to a retirement that actually works. Those were 8 ideas. If you have number 9 or 10, please leave them down in the comments. But always remember to consult a licensed professional who understands your specific goals and dreams.